What is the wrong thing that students these days are doing?
In these days in particular, the lawyers come and they start doing practice in High Court straight away. Focus on the trial work initially.
In your opinion, what is the recipe to become a legal legend in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan?
It's a long journey. That is the recipe to become a legal legend.
Assalamu alaikum viewers. Today our guest is Sir Saqib Haroon Saab. He's the youngest Assistant Advocate General of the province of Punjab, and he has over 14 years of experience in the field of practice, and he has been teaching in University of Lahore for a couple of years. So Saqib Saab, it's very kind of you for having us and giving us the opportunity to come and interview you for the program. Be requesting you to start off with a basic introduction of what enabled you to come into this field of law, and what was the encouragement that you had to basically choose this as your profession for your life?
The reason for choosing this profession was because I belongs to a small town, Tehsil Chichawatni, and in those small towns there is always a big litigations, a number of litigations, and almost every house is involved in the litigation.
Okay.
So, keeping in view the litigating circumstances in that small town, I prefer to enter in this law, and especially when you have a good PR. So that those all factors actually influences me to choose this profession.
All right, alhamdulillah. And up till from the time you graduated from your law degree and till date, with alhamdulillah, with 14 years of practice in the field of law, and now you're blissfully, by the grace of Allah Ta'ala, you're the Assistant Advocate General Punjab. What are the factors that encouraged you to continue for such a long time and to reach up to this position? Encouraging factors in terms of what your mentor's role was, the role of your family, the role of your peers, the role of your teachers. What were the enabling provisions that helped you reach to this position that you're blissfully holding?
It's a long journey. You see, in 2005, I did my law graduation from
MashaAllah.
University Law College, Bahauddin Zikriya University, Multan.
MashaAllah.
And after doing law graduation, I jumped to Lahore.
Okay.
And it was a big risk involved in it, that I'm going in a big city where I don't know anyone, and to start my law practice, in particular when you don't have any PR in that city.
Definitely.
However, worked hard. That was the basic motivating point in all this scenario. In 2005, then I enrolled as an advocate lower court. In 2008, I enrolled as an advocate of the High Court. In between, I went to London for my master's in law. That was a very fantastic experience in terms of profession. When I was doing LLM in England, you met number of people from all across the world, and you shared your legal experience, how you can improve your legal sense. And when I came back from England, that legal sense which I developed during stay in London doing my LLM and then qualified as a solicitor, senior courts of England and Wales, that legal sense helped me to build myself as a lawyer in Pakistan.
MashaAllah. How would you compare your education in Pakistan as compared to education abroad? Because I've noticed that there's a lot of difference in terms of the modus operandi, how they teach in Pakistan, the subject of law, in various universities or affiliated colleges. How can, as you're a teacher as well, how do you, at your point, try to bring that academic standard to Pakistan, and how can Pakistanis improve upon the same?
You know, what is the main problem in our legal system and when they impart legal education? There is only one difference. We tell the students what the law is, and what they tell the students why the law is. They actually focus on the jurisprudence of the law. We just tell them this is an act and these are the provisions, and you just read it and go for your exam.
True.
And we do not focus on the jurisprudence of the law, which is very necessary to understand. When we know why the law is, what is the rationale behind this law, then obviously we'll be able to interpret that law. When we'll be able to interpret that law, we can apply, we can understand, and that obviously help us in our professional growth.
In your 14 years of experience in terms of practicing, what were the genre of litigation that you enjoyed most? What were the nature of the cases? And what were the cases that basically enabled you to further your practice in this field and reach up to this position as the Assistant Advocate General of Punjab?
When it comes to what kind of litigation I have dealt, I'm lucky person that I joined Umar Riaz Law Associates, where I have been given variety of work. I worked in a pure civil propositions. I worked in pure criminal propositions. In particular, we dealt massively in election laws. I'm lucky that I've dealt the case of now Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, as well, and the number of politicians, which include Sheikh Waqas Akram Saab. So intellectual property rights is my actually specialty. So that is main area of my practice, and I always enjoyed doing cases in intellectual property rights.
In your practice, when you have gone through that initial phase when a young person graduates and he enters the field of law, what was the enabling factor that enabled you for the first 2 years of struggle to continue in this profession? Because there are very troughs and there are very downs. Sometimes you have a case, sometimes you do not have a case. Sometimes there are long periods of time when you are basically, there is a stale going on and you have to wait for new cases to come up. What were the difficulties you faced in your time till you got the High Court license? And what will you recommend to the younger generation? Because there is a difference in the problems when you faced and the younger generation faces now. What will be your advice to the younger generation in the field of law for both men and women in particular?
The first part of your question, what was the difficulties in first 2 years? And it is obviously, this profession has financial constraint in first 2 years. Rather, I would say it's in the first 5 years. There are financial constraints. Unless you are graduated from an international law university and you joined a very big law firm and you may be paid a handsome amount. Normally, in this area of practice, in first 2, 3, 4, in fact 5 years, you always struggle in terms of the financial side of this profession. That is the most important time when you need your family support, obviously, and your senior to whom you are working with. And I'm lucky in that respect. I met Barrister Umar Riaz Saab, who always cared me. Maqbool Malik Saab, ex-Advocate General Punjab, he remained Advocate General for 11 years.
11 years, yes.
And I mean, he's always a source of inspiration for all lawyers. And in that respect, I'm a lucky person. I met these two persons and I never, faced that kind of financial constraint which a young lawyer, when he comes in the field, he faces. So, however, that is the most important time when you actually need your family support. And if you, you cross that area, that 2-3 years period, but you worked hard, you do your cases, open the book. That is the basic. Open the book. Kindly open the book. And that is the problem. We don't open the book. That is our problem. We just we will call some other lawyer friend. This is a proposition. Kindly guide me. Open your book. You would find the solution of your proposition. When we will not open the book, the problems in the profession will continue.
True. Very true. This is very true. What do you think is the, you have been mentoring so many young associates throughout your profession. What do you think is the basic nature of mistakes that they make while they are in the early phases of their practice? And how can they change that stance of their mistakes to something that becomes their strength and enables them to succeed? Because the first few years are very crucial. It's not just one law. Whenever a case comes up to you, you have to consult many laws and many judgments, just one particular case. And what is the wrong thing that students these days are doing, in your opinion? Because Alhamdulillah, you have been teaching as well. You have been imparting education in academia as well. You have been imparting education to your younger associates as well. Alhamdulillah, I feel blessed that I have been your younger associate and I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot from you, especially in the field of intellectual property, cyber laws, and protection of women against workplace harassment, and election laws as well. What do you think, how would you advise the younger generation to shift their stance from these mistakes to a more serious attitude?
Generally, there is a saying that there is no shortcut in the life. Yes. I would say there are few shortcuts in the life, but there is absolutely no shortcut in the profession of law. In these days in particular, the lawyers come, the younger lawyers, and they start doing practice in High Court straight away.
Yes.
Which is, I think, a big mistake. Shortcut they are trying to find out, that start doing practice of the High Court, do appear in the bails and in the constitutional petition to get some direction, and you will earn the money. That is a shortcut, which would not last for a long time. You need to start from the lower court, which is a nursery of litigation.
True.
You need to do a trial. Once you will start doing a trial and you would complete a trial, it's not a start of the trial. You need to complete the trial, then you would start learning. So focus on the trial work initially. Once you will complete the trial work, the appellate and the revisional work, you will be able to do it. Definitely. Because you personally has conducted the evidence.
Yes.
And you know each part of the evidence. If the young lawyers want them in this profession for a long time, if they want to survive for a long time, they need to open a book. They need to conduct the trial. And then the second step is High Court, which is an appellate court actually.
Which is an appellate court, yes. There is a certain genre of cases you did, and there is a certain form of litigation you have done. Obviously, mashallah, alhamdulillah, you are competent, which has enabled you to have this blissfully hold position. What will you recommend to your associates and your students to walk on the same footpath that you have walked? Because not every lawyer becomes an additional advocate general or an assistant advocate general. And later on, inshallah, the Attorney General of Pakistan. I would love to see you over there. What will be their stance other than what you have advised previously?
This journey, there are two ways to walk in the profession of law. One is a political side. You contest elections of the bar associations, and people may know you, that you are so and so, you are a member of the bar association. And second way is to work hard. Work hard, prepare your cases before appearing in the court. When you enter in the court, you must have a grip on your case. And when you will appear, when you will argue, having prepared your case, the people are sitting behind, watching you. Suppose the 20 lawyers sitting down there, one judge sitting in front of you. When you argue prepared case, they will come out and they will tell other people as well. This is Imran Wajid. He fantastically argued that case. He was prepared and he had a grip on his case. And that way your reputation would travel.
True.
But if you would appear in the court without preparing your brief, and people are watching you, what they will say? They will say, this man got somehow this brief, luckily, but the poor litigant would face a trouble now.
Yes.
So that is how you would destroy your reputation. So that is the basic ingredient to become a successful lawyer. Please prepare your brief.
Before actually even standing before the judges. I've
Obviously.
seen people, even very senior lawyers, sometimes don't prepare their cases.
This is unfortunate. Probably there are reasons now. They are more confident that even they do not prepare their brief, they would be able to argue.
And I think that's the same fact that enables you to quite briefly state your scenario and the case at hand. Because sometimes judges don't have enough time to even listen to the whole case. And you're very right about the case brief.
Your draft should be precise.
Yes.
Normally we have a habit to write down the thesis in the form of petition.
Yes.
They don't need your thesis. You need to tell what's your problem,
Yes.
what law favors you, and in case there is a judgment favoring your point, just tell them that. Don't tell them the story starting from 1965 till 2019. Nobody has time to read these stories. And secondly, when you prepared your brief, you will automatically precise. You know what the law point is.
Yes.
You would straight away tell to the judge the relevant law and the judgments.
Oh, true. This is true.
The more you would confuse the judge,
the
more problem would create for you.
Definitely. For your litigant. For the litigant.
For the litigant.
In your opinion, what is the recipe to become a legal legend in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan?
The recipe to become a legal legend, always the recipe is a long journey actually. It's a long journey. That is the recipe to become a legal legend. And there are few legal legends
in Pakistan
when it comes to the legal profession.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue bringing the legends in the profession of law and academia to you as a source of guidance and inspiration for everyone.